where we control the tubes and the tubes do not control us. This is Chloe in my lap. She's needing attention right now. I've been making a prototype and then the real creature most of the morning, and she's feeling neglected. But they're sitting right here over my shoulder. The pink one was the prototype, and the gray one is the one that we're going to make in the tutorial. So if I can get Chloe to jump down, let me show you the pink one first because the colors are optional. They're ballerina birds, have adorable ballerina shoes on. They're just so cute. A new way to make a beak so that we don't have to worry about trying to make tubes that are just too big work. A cute little tail, little feathers, beautiful little wings, just so precious and sweet. And this is the gray one that we're going to make together. And when I stopped the tutorial, I said, when I filmed the beginning, I'll tell you what I decided to do with the eyes. And I did put a little fur eyebrow over each eye. And then I put a little bow on top with some petals, made a little adornment for the side. I gave the ballerina bird a necklace with a little hangy down part. And on camera, we did bejewel the ballerina slippers. She is adorable, whether she's sitting straight out with her adorable little profile, or if she's sitting on the edge of the table or the dresser like this. They're adorable. So I hope that you'll stick around, that you will like, subscribe, and watch the tutorial that follows, and we'll learn how to make ballerina birds. God bless you, and thank you for watching. Well, I'm so glad you decided to stick around and learn how to make an enchanting ballerina bird. So the first 3 tubes are actually 4 because we're making 2 of the legs. It's going to be the head, the neck, and then the legs. So our row counts are, for the head, it's 33 rows, and we're going to turn it like we would make a beanie, cinch up one end, which is going to be the beak, and on this end we're going to go over a row, under a row, over, under, so that we can control it just a bit. Then for the neck, I have a really long cast off tail because I want to mattress stitch up with it. So the neck is also 33 rows, but this time we're going to fold it over, mattress stitch it, stuff it. And then our legs, and these can be any colors you want. The first one I made was pink. This one's white. You could make it a soft gray, whatever suits your fancy. Maybe I'll do 3 of 3 different colors. So for the legs, it's 47 rows times 2, and then also cast off with an extra long tail because they're going to be mattress stitched up in a little bit different than what you may be used to, and they will not be stuffed. So let's get started. I just folded this in half, brought the cast on and cast off ends together, gave it a good snug, and I'm just going to tie it off and flip it around to the other side, and that will hide the threads. This becomes the nose of the bird, this becomes the back of the head, and that's the head. So we'll just set it off to the side for a minute. This is going to be the neck. So even before we cinch it up, let's talk about how it's going to go in. So for the back of the neck, we are going to cinch it up like a beanie. So I'm going to pull this together, and when I fold it over and mattress stitch it, it's going to go up into the head. We're going to mattress stitch it down, but then continue down the neck so that we have a neck with a nice sized little head coming out of it. So on this end, I'm just going to cinch it up and tie 1 knot. This end down here, cinch it up. Doesn't have to be really, really tight. And this is my really long cast off row tail. So I'm going to start sewing up with it. Tie a knot down here just to get it secured, and mattress stitch up until we get to the part where we're going to insert the head. And this is going to be eyeballing it. Okay, so I have lightly stuffed out the head, and I have two little round beady bird eyes. I'll put a link in the description. And you know, bird eyes are off to the side of their head, so I have them pretty well spaced off to the side. The beak is going to come out right here like this, so these will sit right above the beak. And if you look at it and you like it, I think I do, then snap your backs on. Okay, if you're confident in your mattress stitching and sewing, this is not completely necessary, but I'm going to go over, under, over, under, over, under. I'm starting at the bottom. I've determined this is the top. And I'm just going to go over and under till I get back around where I started. And that'll just let me have a little control if I feel like I need to just bring this in a little bit while I'm sewing it. So I'm going to finish up off camera and then come right back on. Okay, so this is not going to be difficult. Take your head so that your eyes are up and your little, like a guide cord, is down. You have your stuffing in here, and we can come in before we go all the way around and poke a little stuffing up there. But this is going to nestle down in and make like the back of the bird's head. So I've already tied one little knot at the end here. This is our long sewing thread. I'm going to just figure out where the top of my head is, just visually lining it up. And I'm going to go under to a bar, 2 bars here that is a row. And I'm going to determine that my row, that the V points are pointing towards the nose so that I can stay in the right row every time. And I'm going to snug this up just a little bit. And now I'm going to start sewing around. So I'm going to come back and stay off my cast on row. Well, actually, I'm on it. It's not so important right here, but I just want to be on the edge of my beanie. Going to come around. So that's about three rows so far. Working my way back up onto the head. Staying in the row where my points are facing towards the nose, so I don't skip anything. And I'm going to just snug this up a little bit, all the way to where I started, because you can see right here it's not snug. You might think that it is, but give it that extra pull. And then we're going to start just working down. Pick your row and stay in that row and start working down towards where we're going to meet in the middle. And we'll stay a row or two off of that. Maybe come to about right here so that we can take our finger and poke up in there, and then we'll be stuffing this neck also. So I'm going to pick a row where the V's are pointing up towards the top of the head. Just going to go 2 bars and then come in and take my next row and do 2 bars. It won't take any time at all to get down towards the underside of the neck. Staying in every single rows will prevent you getting a pucker, and puckers don't look good. Okay, so I think you get the gist, snugging it up. I'm going to go to about maybe right here, just a little bit past my eye on each side, so I have a finger to poke up there with. And I'm going to come up to this where I started, tie on a new piece of yarn, and then come down this side. So we're keeping it even. And when I get to the bottom down here, right about here on both sides, and I still have a little finger, we can fine tune that. If we didn't even need this, we'll just tie it off and bury it. I'll be back when I have both of my sides sewn down so that I have maybe 2 fingers right under the chin. Just a quick little tip. When I come back up to the top of the head to tie my next piece of yarn on, I'm just opening it up. This doesn't even have to be as long as the other side because I'll just bury this and keep sewing with my really long piece of yarn. Just tying it off like that and then coming up onto the top and start sewing this around. And that just secures it. You won't have a yarn end to deal with. It'll be nice and snug up there. Okay, I just worked my way around, snugged it up nice and snug. There's a lot of snugging to do to get every stitch pulled. Then this is your opportunity, if you want to put some more stuffing up in here, and you can kind of guide it in and round out its beak area. The beak is going to come right across here. And we're going to want a little bit back here in the back of its neck. So we can keep stuffing that out. And then whichever yarn tail is our longest, we'll just start pulling it closed under the chin and stuffing, stuffing, stuffing till we get down to the bottom. So I'm all the way to the center, stuffing more up into the head because we need the head to be able to stand up. I'm on the head tube, I met in the middle, and I'm going to just tie these two yarn ends off. The one that I did around the edge, the over, under, I just tied that off and stuck the strings up this way. Okay, so I still have this one threaded. This one I can just trim off, let it go down into the neck, start mattress stitching down and stuffing the entire time. So I think I'll just come right down here and tie a knot so that I'm on my neck tube now and not still on my head tube. And just put a single knot here before I start coming down. All right, and I'll probably do halfway down, stuff, 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 come down to the end, keep stuffing, and close it up. So I'm down to here, but I want to show you that I really am getting stuffing up into the back of the head so that it's not floppy. And then just continuing to push it up into the neck area. You're not distorting it, but you're also making sure that it's sturdy right up in here so that its head doesn't flop down. So I've just mattress stitched down, and when I get to the end, I'll tie off to this and leave my longest one for sewing. Just a few more stitches and it's ready to close up. And before I pull it snug, if I just leave it open like this, I can still get a little dab of stuffing into it before I tie it. And I'll do that right now. Just poke a little bit more up in there. Pull the mattress stitch closed. Make sure it's closed all the way down. And there's our nice sturdy little head. It should be sturdy enough to stand up. Okay, so tie these together and we'll work on the next part. Okay, we're rocking out the 33s. So we had 33, 33, and its furry body is 33. I usually use Hobby Lobby's Yarn Bee for the moment, but this I ordered off Amazon. It's just as nice and fluffy, comparably priced, and I'll have a link in the description for you. So 33 rows, but what I do is, since it's gray, I used a gray yarn, I cast on with the gray, went around one time, tied on my fur yarn, cranked around till I had 33 rows, cut my fur yarn, tied on my 4-ply, went around one row, and then cast off. So on both ends, when I'm pulling to snug up each end of this, like a beanie, like we will, and it's just a single ply because the fur is so nice and thick, and we'll stuff it up nice and round for a bird body. So make sure that you have maybe double or at least double and possibly triple knotted where you tied your fur to your 4-ply, and then pull on your 4-ply piece of yarn, and you will discover that it is much, much easier to pull that than it is to pull the fur yarn. And then I'm going to just put a couple of stitches in the bottom here, make sure that I don't have a hole, that it closed completely up. I can check that by trying to put my finger through it. And I'm just going to make sure that my other yarn tails are inside where I tied my fur and my 4-ply together. It's not completely in yet. And that way I won't have to try to bury them. They'll just already be inside. Okay, so snugging it up, putting a knot. Then I'm going to stuff it out till I get a nice little bird body shape. Put a double knot back here and run the yarn to the inside. Hopefully without unthreading my needle too many times during this project. Okay, putting it in and shortening it. Okay, so we'll just stuff this out till we get a nice round little bird body shape. Here's where I tied my fur to my 4-ply. And when I'm finally get it stuffed enough and I'm closing it up, I'll just let that go to the inside. And here's my pull cord. So get your stuffing. I have mine in a tea pitcher and start stuffing this out till it's nice and firm. On the fur yarn, you're not going to see your stitches distort, so you can work on getting a cute little body shape. And you can put your head up on it and see if you like the way it's looking and its proportions look right to you. So I'm going to stuff mine out till I get it pretty firm, and then I'll join you back in a moment. This fur feels so good. And of course, this is the part that went to the inside of the tube. So this is actually the side that we're usually hiding, and that's where all the fur is. So I'm just getting it really stuffed. This side we tied off. It's going to have a tail on it. This side's going to be covered up by the neck. So let's just close it up. If we like it, hold your neck up on here and see how cute that is. I think that's pretty good. Put a couple knots in the end of it and we can attach the head. And then we'll attach our legs. And they're going to be so easy. We're just going to mattress stitch them up. They're going to stuff themselves. So a couple knots and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I have some really long yarn ends on the bottom of my neck. So I'm going to shorten one, and that's so I have it to tie off to. Thread up my needle and position the head onto the front. Roll it around, see if you have a favorite side. I don't, it seems pretty round. Here's where we cinched it shut. So we're going to put this over it. I'm going to just start sewing right here at the bottom. And I've mentioned it many times, working with the fur, if you get into the mesh that the fur's sewn onto, you can pull it through, but it's a struggle. So I'm going to take that first one and go ahead and tie this off so that it's secure. And start going around, holding it up onto the back. So this is very forgiving. You're not even going to know what stitch or what row you're in. So you're going to go in where the head is touching the back. And to make sure that we're staying down in the front right here, I'm going to start going this direction because I'm kind of high up on the side right here, leaving this out so I can tie onto it. So I'm going to come back off where you pull up the beanie clothes. So come up at least one stitch, and that's going to give you a nice looking seam. Come down into your fur, come up a stitch, and you can go 3 bars, whatever it takes to get it closed up, coming down circular, like following how that's cinched up, and snugging it up, back up onto the neck. The fur is so forgiving. And just now we're getting this part secured, coming around the front here so it's not lopsided looking. Coming back up onto the neck, staying off the row that I call the cast on, cast off row. All right, now I'm going to go off camera, but I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to hold this head back. I'm not going to sew it like this because it's going to be eating sand. I'm going to pull its neck back, and wherever it's touching the body, as I come this way, I'm going to be angling it so that it's not sewing this way, we're sewing up this way. onto the back. So you can do it like this and just hold it in place. Look at it from the front. Put your thumb on it to hold it back. Hopefully your hand's big enough. And just start coming back onto your neck, getting under a complete row. It wants to roll because it's round. And then back into the fur. If you find that you're in the mesh and you can't get it to pull through, back your needle back out. Okay. Coming up around, snugging as I go, and the fur just covers up your edge here. Okay, so when I get back into here, I'm going to be, like 3 fingers up on the neck. I'm going to be sewing up in here so that we have this adorable little swan shape going. So back here, and then turn it around and just follow my line back down, and I have this original yarn tail to tie off to. So I'll meet you back when I'm back where my yarn tail is. Okay, so I came around and tied off to the first piece of yarn, but I'm not cutting this off because we're going to add our wings, our legs, and if I need to, I can just sew back up and bring the neck back just a little bit more, just by bringing it back onto the body a little bit. I don't think I'm going to need to do that, but why not just leave our yarn tails right here in the front? Okay, so now we can add our legs on, or we can do the wings. So I think it's going to be easier to do the wings. And they're going to be done the same way the body was. We're going to cast on with our corresponding fur yarn color. I used gray. If you're using pink, you'd use pink. White would be white. So cast on, go around 1 time. Then snip your yarn off about this long, tie on your fur, and go around. For each of the wings, we're going to, after we cast on and do 1 row and tie our fur on, then we're going to crank it around until 13 rows shows on our counter. Then we're going to snip our fur off, tie our 4-ply onto the fur, go around 1 full revolution, and cast off. So when we snug up each end of our wing, we're going to be pulling on our 4-ply and not on our fur. So let me bring a wing up. So just to make it look better on the table, I've already cinched just 1 end up. I just pulled it with my gray, where I tied on my 2 tails together. They're on the inside now. And this is going to be, don't cinch the other end yet. This is going to be the end that is going to be, we're going to be shaping it. This is going to be, the tight beanie pull is going to be this part of the arm that we sew on. So it's going to be the part that goes up against the body. This part that we haven't dealt with yet is going to be the flappy side of the wing. So the same as we did on this, we're going to thread a needle up, make sure that we have it closed. It doesn't have to be, super, super tight because we're actually going to be sewing into it. But let's get a nice knot on the end here. And do both wings that way. Okay, I'm just going to let this hang down for a moment. Okay, so now make sure that you tied securely together where you put your fur and your 4-ply together. Find the one that you pull with that snugs it up just a little bit, and it happens to be this piece. And let's just stretch our wing out, give it a good little pull. And the one that we're going to snug up with, and we are not snugging it up much, we're just taking out just a little bit of the slack. We're just going to whip stitch this closed by sewing into the actual 4-ply yarn. Just find your loop and just close it up. And that's going to make the shape of your adorable little wing. So just work it around down to the bottom and tie that off. I thought I would show you, but it's so hard to see on the fur yarn, but I'm actually catching the loops of the 4-ply yarn on each side. I hadn't threaded my needle again, but go under the loop and then just roll it back. Here's another loop of the gray 4-ply and work your way down. So you're not even really getting into the fur yarn, which is going to make it easier to sew it up. And so threading my needle for the 10th time, I'm going to bring it all the way down. Both my wings are sewn, and you'll see how forgiving the fur is. This is where we close the end up, and we didn't pull it snug. We just took a little bit of the slack out of the yarn and whip stitch close on our gray cast off loops so that the fur is not attached to anything. And here's the inside where we pulled the beanie shut, inside where we pulled the beanie shut. We can shape them. They're just adorable little wings. And now we have to place them. So you can see how they just look like they're flying upwards. Oh my gosh, just slip sliding around on my cutting board. Okay, and so position them where you think they're going to look cute. So I'm going to have mine, here's where the neck is sewn on, pretty close up to the neck. Still sliding around, but you can see how we're going to do it. And we don't want them hanging down. I don't think we want them coming up like a swan would be, like this. How cute is that? So start sewing around, flip it open, sew back in here, bring it around. Let's just do one at a time. Like this. If you get into your mesh, you can muscle try to pull it through or back your needle up and try to get in between the mesh. And it can be done. It's just a little more tedious. Sometimes I just pull like crazy and just pull it on through. So you can see how cute this is, how we're going to position that. Here's the neck, and here's it's curving around, just like this. So I'll join you back when I get my needle threaded up and we'll do a couple stitches together. I'm actually going to sew on with the white because this is so light. I think it might be a better option. I'm going to just take one stitch right here and I'm going to leave my yarn tail end, but tie this right here so I have a nice snug start. When I get back around, I'll tie off to this yarn tail and bury my threads. So we'll get rid of this from the beanie pole in a minute. It's going to kind of be on the inside anyway. Okay, take a look. It's so cute coming up. And we'll just start sewing around. Wherever it's touching the body, go in and take a stitch. Onto the edge of our wing. Just kind of feeling your way around through here. Yep, I'm in the mesh. Out of the mesh. Take some nice deep stitches. If you can grab some of your stuffing, all the better. Okay, I think I'm in a stitch. Snugging it up. Bring it back over and make sure your position is good. Back into the body. Up onto the edge of our wing. And we want to go far enough that we're holding our wing up, so we don't want it to be flopping over. So we're going to sew up closer to where we're pulling the beanie. And when we get there, we can just do it now. Take this gray piece of yarn and take it down off the center right here, a little further down, closer down where we're sewing, and tie one little knot here so we're not distorting our wing. And that can be something that we tie off to help keep our wing up. So that's just going to be a tie-on one, so I'm going to snip it about this long. Get back to my sewing yarn and be working my way towards this. Check the position again. It's cute. Okay, and I'm in the mesh. Back my needle out and got it on the first try. Okay, so I'm coming a little bit up onto my wing right now. Here's the beanie pull part, so I'm going to be right up in here so that I'm holding it kind of up onto the back. Still working my way around. Okay, I've made it to my gray thread, so I'm going to tie these together. Snugging it, nice and snug, and then I'll bury that gray end. So you can see how nice it's staying up, and I haven't even made it all the way around yet. It's just precious. So you'll take the other side, make sure that your beanie pull is towards the body, position it on so that they're matched pair, and sew it on the same way. And then all we have to do is put the legs on and make it a beak and a tail. I'm preparing my second wing. I came to the side with the beanie pull on it. This was the side that we just stitched, longwise on. And I fed my yarn down closer to the edge, tied one little knot in it. That'll be the bottom of the wing when I put it on. And I'm sewing with the white, so I'll rethread my needle, position it on here, and when I get back to the back inside of my wing, I'll tie onto this gray yarn and bury all the threads thread ends when I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this wing and join you back, and we have 2 legs and a tail. So here are our 2 legs that were 47 rows. So I cinched this closed. It could be the top or the bottom. And just put a single knot in here, but I want to show you how we narrow the legs down. And let me even try to zoom in a little bit closer. Let's see. Okay, it's going to be at a little bit of an angle. So here's where normally we would mattress stitch. We would fold it in half. These are the V-stitches where the point is facing this direction. It doesn't matter which way they point, but I would be mattress stitching down this row. But to narrow it, we're going to come back, and where this row is pointing this direction, the next row points this way, then this way, then this way. We're going to come to this. There's one in between. So we're going to skip one of the rows that points this way. We can put our bobby pin in this one. So this way, the second one that points the direction that our V-stitch is going, then we have the one coming down and one coming up. We do the same thing here, and that gives us about a finger in between, and we're going to sew in this one. And after we get a few stitches in, you'll notice that you can just kind of lay it down and go into them, and as we cinch it up, it's going to roll it to the inside like this. It's going to completely stuff it. So that's how we're going to do that. So coming over on this side, and it's a little bit hard to get it started. So I go right into my cast on or cast off row on this side, and the same thing on this side, just to get it to close up the tip right here. Then I'm going to come back to the other side over here, and here's my row, and I'm going to start doing my 2 bars, 2 bars. Coming down to this side, and it won't take long before you'll just be able to tell where your row is and be working on it with it kind of folded to the inside. Okay, so now coming back over onto this side, and here's our row right over here. Here's where we came out, so we're going to go 2 bars on this side. And we're putting a ballerina slipper over on the beginning right here, so don't be too stressed about it. The white is actually, I think, as hard to see as the black. Okay, so now I'm just going to bring this up like this, and it won't take long until I'll be able to just get rid of these bobby pins altogether. We don't need these on our rows we're not sewing into. So just let it loop around a little bit, come over here, and it's going to be much easier to see where your next bars are. Just let it come over the top. And I can see where it came out right here. So I'm going to do these 2 bars. The single bars, you don't want to get down into the bars on the row below it. It'll just make it harder to pull. So 2 bars. Just do a couple more and then we can pull it snug and see how it's going to roll. And we want to make sure when we pull it, we get it all the way to the tip of the toe. Okay, let's give it a try. Pushing it in with my finger to help it roll. Snugging it all the way up. We still got a loop right here we got to pull. And now we're going to have, and we'll make the mattress stitch be the back of the leg, but we're going to have a nice thin little leg doing it that way. So pull it apart a little bit so you can see where you are again and where your row is, just by pulling it just a little bit. And then you'll be able to get back in your rows that are going this way. And they're getting easier to see. Just turn it over a little bit and you can go another 2 or 3 inches and then snug, rolling it over. Once you get this far, it's easy to see where your row is. Coming over to this side until I get all the way up. I'm going to do both of them that way. I'll go ahead and pull this and you'll see how it just closes right up and how this is rolling in. And if it starts changing position where this is like up higher, it doesn't matter. It's just rolling in. Just stay in your same rows on both sides. And then we're going to have a cute little thin little leg to hang down. So I'm going to go ahead and get both of them up. When I get all the way up to the top here, I am going to pull this mattress stitch all the way up, pull this drawstring to close it up, and tie the 2 yarn tails together. I've made it almost up to the top, and here's where we're going to pull it closed. So we want to line up the end of our tube here. So when we pull it, we're getting a nice neat pull, snugging it up. I still have to pull this mattress stitch closed. And don't go too far because it's rolling in on itself. So do, like this much and then pull it apart a little bit so you can see what stitches you're going into again until you get up to the top. It'll just make it easier for you to pull it. And now that we've pulled the beanie shut, it's kind of hard to see where we are, but we only have to take a couple more stitches to get up to the top. Make sure we're all snug, but not curved. We want the legs to be straight. That'll be the back of the leg. And just tie these 2 ends off. I put my ballerina slipper on after I sewed my legs on, but I think it would have been so much easier to put ballerina slippers on to a long straight tube. So that's how we're going to do it on ours. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one done. And when I have both of them ready for the slippers, I'll give you the row count. Slippers are really small, really, really quick to make. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm making my ballerina slipper out of Mainstay's Sparkle acrylic yarn. Walmart, Red Heart may make it also, but it just has a metallic thread wrapped around it. And each ballerina slipper is 12 rows. So what I do when I'm doing my counter is I turn it to 0 before I get up to my black pins so that when I hit my black pin and start going around, it clicks onto 1. So this is 12 rows. This is just going to be the toe of it. So I'm going to cinch it up, tie a little knot on it, do both of them that way. And then I'm going to come up 5 bars. And I'm going to do that by right on my cast on row after I snug it shut and put a a single knot in the end of it, just to secure it. This will be the top of the ballerina slipper, and we'll take care of this in just a minute. So I'm finding my row that just happens to have the points going this direction. And I'm going to go onto my cast on row first and take one stitch just so I close that toe up. So I'm right on the edge here, and that's one. And then get as close as I can to just the first stitch on this one. One. Okay, now I'm just going to do 2 bars in the row going this way. So it's, I already did one, so it's okay, 2, 3, and then in this one, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, and that's all we're doing for now. We'll try it on the foot because every yarn is different, and my prototype was a little different yarn, but that should close the toe up. And we'll, if it's good, we'll knot it right here. So now this is going to go around the back of the leg and come up onto the front. So with our mattress stitch rolled to the back, it's easier this way, I guarantee it, than having it already on your bird. Okay, so here's the one we're mattress stitching with, and here is our drawstring. So we want to see how far we have to draw it to get it to have a little opening here so it looks like a ballerina slipper, but to close it up along the back here. So I'm going to start by putting about 4 fingers in here. Try that. And snug it up around my 4 fingers. See how that works. And it can do some more snugging. It's getting a little better. So we're going to have our toe all the way down in, and it's just coming loose now because we haven't secured this yet. Because when we secure this, we're actually going to go in a row on our leg to hold this slipper on. So I want it open in the front, so it looks like we're lacing up a ballerina slipper. It's closed up around the back now. So I'm going to take this one and just whip stitch this closed, and when I get up to the top here, that's going to become my lace that laces up. And I'll tie this one off, feed it up to the other side, whichever side doesn't have a cord coming out, and that'll become my lace so that I have 2 that I'm working with. So let's do the same thing on this one. All right. So with it like that, I'm going to let this right here just hang for a minute. Rethread this part, making sure my metallic goes through the eye of the needle because it doesn't want to do it on its own. Okay, so let's pull this off and just whip stitch this closed, just going through the cast on, cast off row, whichever it is for you, right on the very, very edge. I know I went off camera because my eyes couldn't see it. Okay, just going just under the row. I'm not going in through the double loops, nothing like that. Okay, so I'm going to decide where I want this to stop. So here's the bad part of my leg. I call it where we mattress stitched it. So I want that to be against my cutting board. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to just come up right here so that, and tie a knot so that when I start coming up and lacing it, it's right on the edge here. and tie a single knot. Then this one, we'll do both of them the same. Thread it up. Trim all the way down in. And this time I want to take, since I have my lace on this side, I want my lace to show up on that side. So 5 seems to be pretty good. I'm going to go in and actually get under a bar of my actual leg and tie this, give this a tie. And a single knot will do. And feed it up where I want this other tie to come out, which is right here. And so it doesn't snug this up and keeps this a nice edge. I'm going to tie a single knot right here. And these become the ends that we're going to lace with. I'll take the needle off. And we're going to go underneath. When we get up here ready to tie the bow, we're going to go into the leg one more time so that our laces stay cute. So, just like when we were children, you can do it as many times as you want, but they both need to be the same. So here's our first crisscross, snugging it up. I think I'll do it 3 times. And I'm just going to do a single knot here until I get the other one done so I can make each one look the same. I am going to do a bow, but this is not the bow. This is just so it doesn't want to unravel. And that's going to be our first cute little ballerina slipper. And then we'll adorn it. We'll put some sparkles, and if you have it, if you don't, then it can just stay like this. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one the same way I did this one. Remember when you do this knot right here to take a single little loop of your leg so that your ballerina slipper stays on. I'll be right back. I have them both done, and I went ahead and took the bow out of this one because I want to make sure that they're crossing similarly on both of the legs and that they're ending at the same place. So I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot in this one. Tie a knot in this one, and we're going to take a stitch into the legs so they won't slide down. The metallic thread is definitely trying to unravel and come loose. So I'm just going to take a stitch underneath my center top row here, and that'll hold that up, and take the needle off. Tie one more single knot, and that's where I'm going to put my bow. And I'm going to tie both bows, make sure they're the same size, and then I'm going to tie a double bow where I tie the bow. So let me get this one to this stage, and we'll do a bow, and our legs are ready to go on. So if you think they're pretty close in size, then let's tie that double knot. Just take our 2 bow ends, tie a knot, and then trim off our bow. Do the same thing on this side. So now it's knotted onto the leg. It's in a double bow. Should be pretty secure. When we knotted it down here, we also went into the leg. And so now they're ready to go on to our adorable little bird. And it's going to kind of sit on the legs. So it can sit with the legs forward, or when it sits on the end of the table, the legs will bend down. So I'm going to go get my prototype and show you about where I sewed the legs on so you'll know what I mean. And you'll see that this precious little ballerina bird, she already has her jewels, a couple little pom-poms, a little jewel up here where she ties the bow on, and the legs come straight out from under her. And about halfway down the back is where they're sewn on, straight up and down, just straight around, maybe one finger in between them. And that way, if she sits on the edge of a table, they can flop down, which is a cute way to pose her, or sit with her little legs straight out. So the same thing with this one. Have the ballerina slippers up. Now, if you wanted to add jewels and bedazzle them, you could do it right now before you put them on, but I think I'll do that after the fact. So we have our long sewing ends here, one that I cut down for just tying off to. There's nothing challenging about this. We're just going to line them up, make sure we have the top of our ballerina slipper up, place our bird on top of it, and take one of them off. That's the back of the ballerina slipper. And we're going to just start sewing around. And to secure it while I start sewing, I am going to tie off right now to this yarn end right here that we shortened a while back. And tie a knot. And that holds it into place while I continue to go around. And now I know it's going to stay positioned. That's the back of the slipper. And I'm going to come up, not on the very, very end of my leg, but come back a stitch off of my cast on, cast off row. Come back just a little bit, and that's going to make the leg more secure. Come onto my body, into my fur. And this is very forgiving because you can't even see the stitches. So just wherever your leg is touching your body, just go around. You might want to go around twice to make it more secure. Coming up onto the actual leg, one or two stitches off of where we pulled it closed so that it attaches better. Just going to go around a couple times, and when I'm done, I'll tie off to this, bury the thread, position the next leg on, and join you back. We're almost done. When I made my first prototype, I had the glue gun heating up. I was thinking about how to let you know how to make the beak so that we could get it the right size, and I decided on a teaspoon. So I have gray felt. This one is gray felt also, and it made the cute little beak because, let's face it, it's hard to get a tube to make a decent looking beak. So I'm just going to trace around the tip of my spoon on the felt. Actually get this out of the way. And this is just going to become the tip of my beak, just as a guide how big we're going to make it. So I'm just going to fold this back over and cut around, but not bringing this in. I want that to be a little straighter. And I did kind of got off the tip here a little bit, so I'm just going to round this. I'm not going to stress it. Straight down, because this is the part where we're going to attach it to the face, so we just want it shaped like a beak. Then we're going to do one just like it that's going to become the inner part of the beak. So lay it down and cut out a twin for it. I'll join you back in a second. Okay, now I'm going to take one of them and fold it in half. Just make sure that your magic marker is on the inside. Okay, no magic marker on this one, but here's the magic marker, so I'm going to roll that to the inside. Lay it back down, and we're going to glue right on the very, very, very edge with a really light bead of glue. Then we're going to put a little bit of stuffing into the beak through the opening. That's why we cut this one in half. So let's see if this is heated up yet. A really thin bead on the tippy edge. Okay, and lay this right down on top of it. And press the edges together to secure that. Then we're going to do the same thing with this piece. Roll it back. Right along the edge. Okay. This on top. Line the edges up. Okay, let that dry. And while that dries, if you want to bedazzle your ballerina slippers, and I have some of this, I'm sure it's something you can find at Walmart, and it's just jewels. One side is purple, one side is pink. I think pink looks good with the gray. And what I did on the other one is I took 3 beads. I actually had a little pom-pom on the end. I think I'll skip the pom-pom on this one. So I'm going to cut 3 and 3. You can use whatever you want. There's so many different kinds of jewels and bedazzles. And that's just going to lay right up over the seam. Let me zoom in a little bit, see if it's easier to see that. Oops, I can't get my hand up there on my camera right. There we go. So just like this, here's where we cinched it up for the beanie, and this will just lay right on top here. So I'm just going to put a little spotted glue behind each of these little sections, and then make sure I get it lined up. Don't want to mess up at this point. Right on the seam here. Okay, that one's done. Do the same thing with this one. You could tie a little ribbon down there, make another little bow. Use the rhinestones. I use those a lot. Okay, bedazzled. And on my prototype, I actually cut one off for the top of each of the little bows. Just for that extra little bling. Right in the center there. Center this one. And we have jazzed it up a little bit. Okay, now let's talk about that beak. And I'm going to put a necklace on it in a minute. But here's our beak. We have our opening right here. We're glued nice and secure. So I'm just going to take a tiny little bit of stuffing. Maybe use the end of your pin just to give this beak a little contour. There we go. And I have a little opening right here that I need to make sure I get that glued shut. We're just fine tuning it. So here it is right here, a little gap. Just put a little piece of glue in here. I just didn't get it all the way to the edge. Here we go. Easy to fix. Just a tiny bit of stuffing in here. So here's the opening. So when we close the beak up, it'll have a little contour to it. And I'm going to do the same thing to the top one. If I see anywhere where the felt is open, I'll just put a little dot of glue in there. So I'm going to do that off camera. We're using just a tiny little bit of stuffing. Here's the thickness of my beak. Just not much to it at all, and here's where it's open. But if we close it now, it doesn't close all the way, so it looks like a little open beak. So what I'm going to do is run a little bit of glue right here along this edge, keeping it off the edge, but just right in here, and close the beak onto itself. This is so easy, so much easier than dealing with a tube that is way too big. So you want to make it stay shut. So now I'm going to come a little further down. Another bead of glue there, and closing it up more. So I have something like this. And when that dries, I'm going to hold it right onto my face, line it up, and press it on, and I'm going to have a cute little beak. So now I've just pressed down on it to give myself a little bit of a flat edge right here, keeping the ends of it together. I'm going to take a look at my little head here. So when I come on with the beak, I'm going on where I want it to go. So a nice bead of glue along the edge here. And this is it. We don't want to mess up now. Just going to press that into place until it dries. I'm not going to make you watch that happen. So when it's dry, I'll come back on. But I'm going to hold this here for a good 60 seconds. Okay, that really turned out cute. After I held it on for about 60 seconds, I just rolled it up, put a tiny little bead of glue underneath it, and pressed it down again just to give it a little more surface to glue to, being careful not to use too much glue. That is the cutest little beak. And now on my prototype, I gave it some cute little eyebrows from the fur, just little eyelashes above the eyes. That's optional. You can put it on by sewing it on, or you could glue it on. The first time I sewed it, this time I think I would glue it. Just a really small little eyelash right above the eye here. And I think I'm going to do it a little different than I normally do. I'm going to cut them both the same size, the actual size I want my eyelash to be, and put it on like a false eyelash. Actually hold it by the fur, put a little bead of glue on, and just lay it up on top, lay it up on the eye here, and give it some eyelashes. So I'm going to cut them both at the same time, so they're both the same size. Okay, here we have them. Two little eyelashes. On the pink one, I made them eyebrows, so I have them up above the eye. If you wanted to, I guess you could put it right above the eye, so it looks more like an eyelash. But I think I'm going to put mine up higher. And I'll do that at the end, but we have a tail to do, and our tail's got a secret, an optional secret, and that is, it's going to be, this is the wrong side, but that's where the fur rolls to. And so when I did the tail, I did 13 rows of my body color. Then when I got to 13, I tied on my fur, and I cranked it to 17 rows. When I had 17 rows done, I tied on my 4-ply, went around one time, and cast off. So that gives me a good yarn to pull with. Make sure that you have good knots where you tied your 4-ply to your fur yarn. I triple knot mine. So this is the end that's going to go up against the body. I'm going to close it like a beanie. This is the wrong side. This is the right side, and that's why the fur is out. That is going to be the part of the tail that shows. So make sure you've got a good knot. And here's the one that we can pull that shut with to secure the end. Here's our yarn tail, and I'm going to make that go to the inside. We don't want any of the yarn tails out, and then we'll just sew it on, and I'll show you the little secret that's going to make this ballerina bird a little more sturdy when it sits on the table. So let's get the ends hidden, the end of the 4-ply cinched up like a beanie, put a little knot in there, and we'll get ready to sew it on. And basically we're done at that point. So here's where I am. I buried the little fur end, but where I tied the fur and the yarn together, that because this is the wrong side, it shows. Then I wove my braid down to where we cinched up the beanie and tied a knot down here, so I can tie off to that if I want to. Now we're going to put this on the bird. We've closed this up just a little bit, but not really cinched it up. I can still get 3 fingers in there. We are about to wrap this up. So this is optional, but I actually just went outside and got a small rock that has some weight to it, but that will fit right up in here. And I'm just going to close this up over it, over the rock, and then pull the end closed, and that'll make a cute little tail. Then bring it right up underneath where it's sitting so that it comes up like a little tail here. The rock is about this size. You could use a smaller rock. Much bigger is not going to allow this to close up. Still have this little end here to tie off to if I want to. So this is not going to show, so I'm not even going to mattress stitch. I'm just going to whip stitch it closed. Until I get it all the way closed, and then I'm going to pull on this to snug that up. I'll be right back. Okay, so once you close up around your rock, snug up the end of your beanie, tie it off, but you still have to close up the hole right here where the fur is. So I'm just closing that up now. And now I'm up where I've sewed this direction, so I have a yarn tail that I can tie off to. Nice and snug. Rock is secure. Bury the ends. And I think just to make it easy, I'm just going to bring this up this way because I can sew with it. It's nice and long. Tie a knot up here. And I have to position my bird, my ballerina bird. So here's its furry little tail. And here's the ballerina. And I want it to come up just a little bit, so I'm going to angle it like this and sew it on all the way around and then bury all of the ends. Oops. So here's where I cinched the beanie up. That's about where I'm positioning this little tail. Let me set it down again just to make sure. And the weight of the tail is going to keep it from wanting to tip, especially if you have its legs off the table. So I'm right down on my beanie pole, which isn't that easy to see, but it's there. Going down into the body. And just to get started, I'll tie it to this yarn end here. Got the weight of the rock in there. Okay, that'll help it stay in place while I get started. Okay, position it one more time since it rolled. And there we have it. Nice and neat. So I'm going to just start sewing around up onto my tail, to the body. The rock is not absolutely necessary. I'm in got right into the mesh that fur is hooked onto. Okay, I'm going to try not to do that again. There we go. Coming up, I'm going to position it down on the table again before I sew too much further, just to make sure. There we have it. That'll be a cute little tail. And why do I use a rock? Because it's washable. They're used to being outside in the rain. Oops. I'm doing pretty good, except I unthreaded my needle again. Okay, positioning it, holding it up just a little bit, going back down onto the rock, getting really close to the fur. It's just the weight at the back that we were going for. Okay. Now look at that. It's just adorable. And you'll see a little bit of the gray under here, or pink, or whatever other color you used. But that's okay. It's adorable. It sits on it. And I have a yarn tail here. I'm just going to take advantage of it and tie off to it because I can. I don't even care what it was from. I'm just using it because it's there. Okay, and back into the body. Almost done. Just coming down. I'm actually skimming the rock with my needle. Getting ready to tie off. Unthreaded my needle again. Back into the tail. Okay. Tying it. Nice and snug, really pulling on it. And I'll bury the yarn tails, and you can see that we just have an adorable little tail sticking up there. Bury this, bury this, bury this. Now, we left these yarn tails right here so that at the very end, I'm not going to need to do it, but if your head was pitching forward and you didn't like it, you could have brought it back just a little bit. Just a little bit like this by sewing further up onto the body, but mine is so sturdy. I think I like it. I'm thinking that I might get some black yarn and actually give it some eyelashes like that. But we could call this done. So I'm going to bury my yarn ends, decide what I'm going to do with the eyes, and film the beginning. And I thank you so much for joining. You'll see in the beginning what I do with the eyes. Okay, so I hope you'll like, subscribe, and most of all, I hope you'll watch the tutorial and that you will make a ballerina bird. Let me just roll her over a little bit so you can see how cute she is. How adorable. So let me do a couple finishing touches and I'll join you back at the beginning. Thank you and God bless you.